probably shouldn't laugh anymore.
Hello there, and welcome to episode 65 of the video game podcast, PlayStation Pals. I'm your host, Nick, and I'm joined by the Volaire to my Zale, Jon. Now, Jon, we are in October, and I know this is a video game podcast, but what are your go-to horror movies since we're in this month of spookiness?
I'm such a movie guy that, you know, I feel like movies are my other thing besides video games that I could talk for hours and hours and hours about, so this is nice. First and foremost, the original 1978 Halloween is a bona fide classic that still holds up to this day. I think it's a little slow for probably the attention deficit disorder world that we live in now, where people are like need to see action, but like it's an awesome slow burn that I love, and so I actually kind of decided this year I want to maybe start a what do they call those? Tradition with Kylie, my wife, where we like watch it every year. Like, so I might try and convince her to do it. But so there's Halloween, and then the other. I don't really have anything that like ties to October and Halloween, but three other horror movies come to mind. Hereditary is a modern classic that I think is wonderful and awesome. It's disturbing, and so don't think that it's going to be a very fun movie, but that movie is amazing. And then I got to give a shout out to Alien, which is just a perfect movie top to bottom. And then the scariest movie for me, and a lot of it has to do with it being a movie from my childhood, because I think my dad let me watch it when I was 10, is The Exorcist. To this day, that nothing freaks me out like that. And it's also just a really good movie on top of that. So
Yeah, no.
So those are the ones that I think of when I think of horror off the top.
No fun ones. I know you watch a lot of Hocus Pocus, but you're not going to recommend it?
No, I mean... Listen, I was born in 1989, so I think anybody born in that area, you kind of grow up with the Hocus Pocuses, the Homeward Bounds, these kind of movies, obviously Aladdin and stuff like that. But I've seen Hocus Pocus enough for 10 lifetimes. Watch it if you've never seen it, or you have a daughter. I think Bette Midler is legit amazing in that movie, but no, I'm good with that for a bit. But no, nothing fun. I'm not a fun guy. So
okay, sure, yeah. And there's not a lot of fun horror movies, there's like Ernest Scared Stupid, or like the more kid variety of movies, but I'm with you, there's not.
I did watch a ton of Bride of Chucky as a kid. Maybe
that's probably not something you should have been watching.
I don't think I should have been watching The Exorcist either, but I turned out semi-okay, so.
Jury's out.
Yeah, well, you didn't answer. What about you?
I like them. I know you kind of go toward the more psychological, like, I kind of like cheesy horror movies. I like slasher
flicks.
I do like Halloween, of course, but yeah, I like Nightmare on Elm Street, the Jason movies. Just like I can turn my brain off.
You talk about Freddy vs. Jason quite a bit.
Yeah,
so.
It's a great movie.
Yeah,
it's very, very good. We should watch it again sometime.
Okay, I'm gonna. Yeah, maybe we'll ask you to review that, and want you to give it 1 to 5 stars. I just want to see what you do.
Well, bringing it back to video games, it's kind of like our video game battle royale that we're going through right now. Is like you have these two titans of horror.
It's true.
And, it just worked out that they were able to get everything in line, and you get a fun movie that doesn't take itself too seriously, has all the great horror tropes of those, like good kills, some great boobs, like all the things, they got a final girl, all that kind of stuff, all the things you like out of those kind of horror movies. It kind of relishes in it.
Did you get pumped for Alien versus Predator after that?
That is definitely in the same vein, but I didn't think it was as good as a movie.
Yeah. I mean, there's a different vibe with slashers versus gross fucking xenomorphs and predators.
Right, and
that
movie's trying to be serious, trying to take it in a serious direction. So I'm not having as much fun watching it. I mean, it's cool to see them fight each other, but it's just.
Can we spoil it? Who won? Freddy versus Jason. Who won? Should we spoil this for everybody, or should we keep it? It's let people.
Well, maybe at the end of the month we'll announce who wins. So you should.
All right. Well, and now that they're all Mortal Kombat characters, so maybe we can throw them into the battle royale.
It's true. Were they in the same one though? I don't remember.
I don't know. I get all of the DLC from like the modern Mortal Kombat's kind of mixed up in my head. I don't know which is which, because you got Rambo, Terminator, Joker. Well, Joker was in Injustice. Or was
he was also in
Mortal Kombat. Yeah, see, exactly. I'm already confused.
Yeah. And I know Ed Boon on Twitter has been tweeting out like kind of teases of what other killers could be there. I think Ghostface was on there that he hasn't done yet.
Huge one, yeah.
And obviously that's more current because Scream 7 is coming, so I wouldn't be shocked.
Did Scream 7 not come? Or was that Scream 6 that just came out?
I think it was Scream 6.
No,
This is a video game podcast. Don't ask us about movies.
Scream Revital.
But there's another Scream movie coming.
Is there? Okay.
So it would, it's kind of an obvious pick to be in a Mortal Kombat game.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, announced to be in development August 3rd. Okay. Well, Jenna Ortega, she's so hot right now. Got to keep her going.
It's true. Okay, so yeah, that's some good recommendations. If you have any recommendations, well, this is how you can get in touch with us, because this is how the show works, is we talk about up to 6 things on this show. It can be a game we're playing. It can be a topic like horror movies, or it can be an email from you at PlayStationPalsPod@gmail.com, a Twitter DM at PSPalsPod, or a comment on our YouTube page. Nobody comments there, but, if you do, we'll read it on the show.
That's right.
And that's at PlayStation Pals. Any of those things, we feel like talking about it. And we have 4 things for you today. And I'm going to kick things off with the big release of the week. I try to keep you guys current.
Somebody has to.
Yeah, exactly. We're a podcast that does not have access. We don't get codes. We don't get pre-release versions. So,
we have full-time jobs.
Yeah. Yeah. So we get to spend our money on the games we want to play. And of course, I have to bring Cyberpunk 2077 Phantom Liberty. Just came out on September 26th for $30, sitting at a 89 on OpenCritic. So reviewing very well. And I hate to be a broken record, but obviously this was one of my most anticipated releases of the year.
Well, it's the DLC to your game of the year, man.
Yeah, my game of the year last year. We talked about the 2.0 update last week, which came out ahead of this, so I won't get into like the stuff they changed there. I'll just kind of briefly cover the DLC, but basically the story is that Space Force One, which is their version of Air Force One, is crashing down in an area of Night City called Dogtown. This is a new area exclusive to the expansion, so if you don't have it, you cannot reach it. And they have some, they encourage your main character V to help them out and rescue the president, which is, a good premise.
Yeah.
Yeah. The opening of this game is you witnessing Space Force One crashing and then running down the street to get to it, and just the chaos of, and it felt like you're doing the Tom Cruise run that he does in every Mission Impossible.
Every movie, not just Mission Impossible, every movie.
Yeah.
He's always running.
I think that is a good analogy to this, is like the theme of this is really like tactical espionage, a spy thriller. It has a theme song that we briefly talked about at the end of last week that's out now.
Does it say Phantom Liberty?
Yes,
it does. Aha. You always have to. Man.
So this is kind of like this is kind of the premise for the whole thing. So that is, you're going to go rescue the president. You're involved with Solomon Reed, who is played by Idris Elba. He's kind of been all over the marketing for this. He is a big part of the game. And I think the kind of whole premise, even though I'm not too far in the main story, is definitely I don't know who to trust. Because there's a kind of a mystery over who brought down Space Force One. Why would they bring it down here? This area of Dogtown is kind of separate from Night City in that it's kind of been annexed by an ex-general of the military, Kurt Hansen. And so, like, is he the one who did it? Do I trust Solomon Reed? Do I trust the person that invited me to do this mission, Songbird? All of that mystery is in the game, but like I said, I've just scratched the surface of that. But really what I've been doing is all kind of the new stuff. They have new gigs, new side quests, exploring the new area. They have some dynamic content now. There's like airdrops, so you'll hear this ship fly over, and then it drops like a giant like package in the ground, and then other gangs like kind of scramble to get it, and so you have to fight them. And there's some always good loot in there. And then also similar to like Grand Theft Auto, now there's this whole car stealing mechanic where cars will be highlighted on the map, and you have to steal them and deliver them to all over Night City, not just in Dogtown.
You could always hijack cars in the original release, though, right? Okay.
Yeah, but this is like a specific quest where a guy wants specific cars. and then because car combat is a big thing now, a lot of those will turn into like these combat encounters while you're driving. So.
Do you know if the cars have kind of like a system like guns where it's like, oh, these are like legendary cars that have ridiculous weapons?
Yeah, you can get a car that have machine guns come out the front bumper or have a rocket launcher on the back. And then if you don't have that, you can just use your normal guns in the car and shoot just like out of a Grand Theft Auto.
Well, I would hope that, if you go down this like quest tree for delivering cars or whatever, you reach the end, you get some fucking rail gun on the top of your car or something that can just destroy everything.
Yeah, I've done quite a few of them, and I've gotten some nice cars, and I got an armored truck now that has a rocket launcher on the back. So there are incentives to do that. But kind of what I really like about doing especially these car ones is it just lets me drive through Night City and just kind of revisit the areas, and just again, I think one of the strongest points of Cyberpunk is how realized Night City is as a city, and that driving through it is just it's not like I like Grand Theft Auto 5, but it's recreating things that I've seen before. It's just LA recreated. Night City is a fantasy city that's very detailed and very different, and cars are flying over, and these giant virtual ads. We've been kind of talking about the Las Vegas Sphere all this week because you two had a concert there, and that looks like something that would just be in Night City, and that's something you do see is there are ads that just will climb and shoot into the sky, so I've been enjoying just driving around and just playing the game kind of role playing, stopping at red lights and just taking my time unless I'm getting attacked, to deliver these cars off. So I've been doing a lot of those missions.
And Baldur's Gate really had an effect on you, didn't it?
What do you mean by that?
Yeah, just hardcore role playing stuff.
Oh yeah, yeah. But
No, I know. I'm just giving you shit.
Yeah, the difference here, and I was having this conversation with other people, is when this game was announced, I was kind of bummed that it was first person.
Right.
I don't like first person games typically. I wanted this
you were saying for a bit that I don't know if I'm gonna play it. Okay.
Exactly. There you go.
Yeah.
So I wanted third person like The Witcher is, like Grand Theft Auto 5. All the games I prefer are usually third person, and they chose this way in their own interviews because it led to greater immersion. Mm-hmm. You see more of the environment. You feel like you're embodying this character, and I've talked about this before, but I think that works really effectively and the big feature of this game. But to be honest, it's just really more Cyberpunk, and again, second course of your game of the year is really up my alley. A lot of the gigs are great. Again, they also don't look like on face value. The very first gig you do is you have to find stolen parts and a stolen schematic. And of course, you go through the mission thinking it's like a recovery mission, but then it turns into a rescue mission because you find out the guy installed it in his eye. It's his eye.
Oh, jeez.
So you get there and you got to kind of work. Now you have this new dynamic, right? It's not just, do I just kill the guy and rip his eye out?
Yes.
Do I take him with me? Do I help him get out of this building? And then he doesn't want to go back now. So what do I do? There are many outcomes to these stories, and that's kind of all the gigs. I just did a gig, and I'll just kind of preview the start of it, where I had to go into a place that takes children and grooms them to be athletes. So from the day that they're young, they are trained in soccer, and then they get cybernetic implants to help them be better soccer players. And then professional sports teams bids on 8-9-year-old kids to get them to sign contracts. And this is just a gig, which
turn those little fuckers into money.
Exactly. And this is just a gig, which in Cyberpunk, it's main story, side quest, gigs is kind of the tier. Gigs are usually one-off stories. Side quests sometimes can go into Divergent Pass, are more involved. They'll usually involve multiple locations. Gigs are usually one location, confined story, multiple outcomes. And this is kind of what made Cyberpunk great, is these kind of things. And I know, John, you're just getting into Cyberpunk, but you've even gotten a little bit of a tease of that as you've done just kind of the earlier missions where...
Yeah. I mean, one of the very first missions in the game, you got to help a new, what do they call them, fixers?
Yep.
It just kind of seems to be I don't know, some sort of mob boss that can give you jobs. And so after playing the beginning of this game, this is my third time now, I kind of know where some things go. I was like, well, let me try the other path, thinking that like, without spoiling anything, thinking that it would just kind of be a different type of outcome, and it really wasn't. And it kind of made me realize for a second, like, oh, I can't trust anybody, and there are a lot of multiple layers to all this, and I think that's probably one of CD Projekt Red's calling cards at this point, because when The Witcher was out, I would say the number one positive that game was receiving was the quality of their side quests and how thought out and fleshed out these type of experiences were. It wasn't, the complete opposite of Final Fantasy 16, right? Where there was almost better than the stuff you were getting on the main quest. And I think back specifically to the, are you going to throw the baby into the oven quest in The Witcher? And it's like you kind of think it's going to come this, you think this is the right thing to do, but you aren't thinking of this other angle, or they're going to throw you for a loop here or there. And it's I would be shocked if that wasn't present in Cyberpunk, and it definitely sounds like it is.
Yeah,
which is great.
Yeah, it is great, and that sports arena gig is a great ending. It is so good.
Okay.
I think the quality of CD Projekt Red's games has been the story, as you just mentioned, and this is just more of that. So it's just more, CD Projekt Red had great expansions before with Heart of Stone and Blood and Wine for The Witcher 3, and this is just, I haven't even finished it yet, and I'm in love with it. It's good. I'm about 15 to 20 hours. I've done 8 of the 10 gigs. I've done every side quest they've given me, but I think I'm a little early on in the main story. Just, I feel like there's got to be some big twist in there, and I'm just kind of been getting the initial setup because I've been busy doing everything else. But it's a great expansion. It's a great, companion piece to 2.0 for, us returning players, not people like John who are just coming to it for the first time, but us returning players have this whole meaty 20 to 30 hour campaign that just adds on to the game that you love. So if, John, you're getting toward that final mission and you're like, man, I just want to play more, I'm going to recommend Phantom Liberty. And if you've played Cyberpunk, a year ago after 1.6 or even at launch, I highly recommend it if you enjoyed.
Just trust your feelings on how you felt about it originally.
Yeah,
but know that things are improved minorly. That's good. That's good, man. Yeah, I mean, I just jumped into it, like you said, only about an hour and a half after beating Sea of Stars, which we'll talk about here in a little bit. I was really excited to jump into it, and I've got the itch. I've got the itch to go back, and I'm hoping. Like I try to do with any meaty type game, like really take my time in the beginning at least. Like, don't skip over little tutorials because they're, telling you like this is what this map marker means and this is what this does. And if you don't pay attention to that stuff, inevitably 4 hours down the line, you'll be like, what is all this shit? And then you kind of get mad at yourself or mad at the game, thinking it's the game's fault when it's really your fault. So really trying to absorb myself in it because I know how highly you think of it, how highly everybody else at work thinks of it. And it's, it's been a minute since I've played a big, crazy, because like Final Fantasy 16 was big and meaty, but not in the same way. Right. I'm excited to check out more. Yeah,
and I just want to point out that there is a lot of Johnny Silverhand in this too as well. Keanu Reeves is back, and he's not just at the very beginning of this, they kind of have a story reason why he can't talk to you for a minute, and I was like, oh god, are they going to just remove him entirely from this expansion? But no, that's only a very brief moment, and he's involved in every quest, gig, everything. He's chirping in my ear. He's a big part of it, so it's great that he came back. Yeah.
Shut up, Johnny.
So yeah, I haven't completed it yet, but it is. I have a glowing endorsement. I'll probably review it.
Shocker.
Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, they could have fucked it up, but they didn't.
Yeah.
Dogtown as a location is very interesting too. It's kind of a resort town, kind of built out of like a half of a stadium's left, and just like casinos and hotels. So a lot of that kind of theming there, and kind of one of the very first areas you're in is this giant, beautiful black market where just the craziest things are happening. I probably spent the first half hour just looking at everything, not even like interacting with it, because it's just so much detail condensed in this, tiny market.
Yeah, a little city block.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you this, Nick. Has CD Projekt Red now done the impossible and completely reversed the public will and feelings towards them?
I'd say so. I think maybe when their next project is officially announced and kind of on the horizon,
People are gonna keep talking about it, but like everybody's gonna be like, yeah, it's gonna be.
I
great.
wonder how like it'll fit. Will people be quick to pre-order it and stuff like that?
No,
but
they will.
I think as far as like, I think you can say right now that Cyberpunk 2077 is an amazing must-play game.
Yeah.
Like that's for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, how people feel about their next project, I don't know. We always say gamers have short-term memories.
Sure
You
do.
know, even myself, who got burned on this game when I pre-ordered it, that you know, I'll probably be there for the inevitable Witcher 4.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So.
Yeah, for sure. All right, well, good man.
So.
Good. Happy to hear it.
All
So.
right.
So as I just mentioned, I was able to take a little bit of time over the weekend and finish up the game that I was playing, game that Nick's finished, so we can have a nice little discussion about Sea of Stars from Sabotage Studios, which is the recent 90s JRPG-inspired pixel-based RPG, you know, very Chrono Trigger-like. I think if you're listening to me right now, you know exactly what this game is, so we'll skip all that kind of stuff, but yeah, just kind of to give you my overall thoughts on it. You know, I think I finished my clock at about between 25 and 30 hours. And as I'm sure Nick will get into very quickly here, I did not go and get the true ending, which probably would require a little bit more time, but I have kind of briefed myself on the different narrative implications and things after getting yelled at by Nick this morning. So, but no, this game is great. It is absolutely a game that I think anybody who has retro tendencies or who's into turn-based combat it's a must-play. It's something you have to see, at least check out, because I think there's certain things about this game that are objectively top tier, some of the best I've ever seen. Graphically, I don't think I've ever seen a better looking 2D game. The pixel art is something to truly behold. The animations that the characters have, the enemies have, all the fun little ways that everybody bounces around and the grass, you know, goes around with the wind and whirlpools are swirling and just all these different ways that they are able to make this world feel colorful and a joy to just simply be in. Like there's been very few games that I think did it as successfully as Sea of Stars did. Next up, the music. I think the music, you know, having the composer from Chrono Trigger, which again is one of the most storied, not only video games, but specifically soundtracks out there. Do you remember his name off the top of your head, Nick?
No.
Okay.
That's
so yeah,
Yoshinori something.
Yeah, something like that. Sorry for the disrespect, Mr. Yoshinori-san. But you know, so from top to bottom, the music is amazing. You know, keeps you just kind of engaged. Where it's you know, it's kind of bubbly. The game has a certain vibe about it. It's definitely
Yatsunori
Masuda. You know, there's definitely a vibe about this game where there's dire things happening. There's bad consequences that can go on, but I think you'd be crazy if you don't think this game just has an overall bubbly, positive vibe. It just kind of does based on how colorful it is. And I think the narrative was very well done. You know, one of the biggest pluses that I had about The Messenger, which is the other game from Sabotage Studios, is that the writing was shockingly good and funny for being just a text-based side-scroller game. And so I kind of expected that to come through as well. And while I would say this is a much less funny game, there's not as many haha moments, but I think there's just as much heart and just as much you know, just the threads that they kind of weave in and out very well. But I do think the game does have some areas left to be desired, and this might be maybe not exclusively me thing, but people who have a more gameplay focused tendency, which I do, as we've talked about on the show, I found myself as the game went on just kind of having this feeling of it left a little bit to be desired. Like I think the lock system, which is, you know, the intricate system that they developed for this game, where not every attack, but oftentimes enemies kind of have like a super move, and when you see these locks appear next to their name, you can kind of incorporate very specific attacks at them that can break their lock. So right, there could be a sword, a fire, and a poison, and you have to make sure that you can combine your characters to attack with that specific moveset so that you can break them and then they won't be able to attack you. And it's really cool. It's a great system, but I found as I got further on, and especially with just not random encounters, but like the lower enemies, I just didn't really want to do it anymore. Like I would just kind of get into a fight and be like, ugh, all right, okay, what do you need? I need to do, and that's kind of the other thing. I would eventually not even start doing the locks because I would just have AoE attacks that would just eventually wipe people out.
Do you think that your reason you're coming to this is because the game is too long?
It's a little long.
I think that's kind of the true thing. Is it's probably 5 to 10 hours could have been tightened up, and going back to your point about the true ending. The true ending involves collecting collectibles, and that does suck. I'll tell you that.
Right, yeah, because there's these conch shells, right, that you can find organically in the world, and they're not super well hidden, intentionally so. It's kind of like, hey, it's over in the corner. Oh, cool. And they have a unique design on the outside of the chest, so you know what it is when you see it. Yeah. But yeah, I think I finished my playthrough with 32 of them, and there's 60 total. And the only way to see the true ending is to get 60. So it's I'm not.
And that's only one of the requirements.
Yeah, I am not gonna go do that. Yeah. And so I thought about that, literally that specific thing. Okay, I'm not pulled in enough to want to go back and just get the rest of the stuff because I really don't want to just do the combats over and over and over again. And so, again, please nobody take away that I think this game's bad by any stretch of the imagination. I don't. I think there was a little bit left on the table that, and I don't know if it was Sabotage just decided that they wanted to focus on the narrative because they, and things like that, because they really did pack in a lot of things, right? There's a character called Teeks who she's kind of like your story keeper, right? And you can go up to her. She'll give you a little more context of the world. She'll tell you some stories that kind of make different areas and things make some more sense, and that's great. But, it's just this is another game that I've played this year where it's great, sick, I found a new weapon. What does it do? It moves my numbers up by 3. Okay. Oh, sick, I leveled up. What can I do? Oh, I guess I can add something that doesn't really, in my opinion, impact my gameplay at all.
It doesn't matter.
In fact, I read early on that they're when you're leveling up, just focus on mana and HP.
That's what I did.
Because the damage reductions from defense is 1 or 2 per attack. So it's it just. And that's not a big thing inherently, but
it's part of that genre of game that it's trying to recreate.
Yeah, and I get that, but I do think there could have been maybe some different ways to just keep it a little more fresh, right? One of the main complaints I would see is just your characters don't get enough move sets, and I kind of agree with that. I think you could have had the lock system in place. You could have figured out ways to keep the systems the same, but. If there was a way that I could just continuously level up my sunball attack from Zale, right? Yeah. Where it's not just doing the same thing every time. And maybe they thought, okay, well, we have our combos in place, and those can kind of take the place of these, to do more powerful things, right? Because Conflagration, which was a combo between Zale and Roshan. I love that.
Which you had to find, by the way, for a lot of these.
Yeah, you have to find them in the world, so you might just miss them. Yeah. But I would do Conflagration, and it would do 800 damage, which my ultimate
final boss with that spell.
Yeah, my ultimates were doing 250. So it's well, I'm just gonna do this one, and it kind of felt the same with some other things where it's you could have upgraded my the just powerfulness of my sunball attack. Now it's called the Sun Meteor, and it comes in and it's a little bit stronger. You level up, then make the enemies have a little bit more HP. It does more HP. You feel good, and just those kind of RPG elements. I kind of wish there was a little bit more of.
Yeah, I think that is a weakness. Is that the combat is very vertical. All your numbers go up, but there's no room to explore or choose a different weapon because it also attacks enemies next to it over just high damage on a specific enemy. Yeah. Every skill, every combo, every weapon does the same thing regardless of what you get. And every character only gets 4 skills throughout the whole game. Yeah. And combos I didn't even get all the combos in the game. So, combos are findable in the world. So you might only have access to a handful of them unless you're really looking around. And I think, that kind of staleness combined with the length of the game it just kind of catches up with itself, and it doesn't kind of crumbles a little bit, especially, like I said, you didn't even get into the end game loop of trying to get to the true ending of the game where you have to go fight more bosses, explore more worlds, and then backtrack for all the collectibles. So.
Yeah, and and there were times, specifically with bosses, where the combat did feel really good, where you do a perfect sequence of things. You use one of your, there's a member of your party who can delay the enemy's turn, because that's another cool thing. well, maybe not a cool thing, but it shows you how many more turns is going to be until the enemy attacks. So you can say, oh, you have one more turn? All right, well, I'm going to hit you with my delay. You're back up to 3. Now I can get the locks off that I need. That rolls into the next thing. You fucking AoE everybody and everybody's dead and you feel good. Like, there's moments of that. But, yeah, just I won't linger on it anymore, but I wish it was just a little bit more, there was a little bit more meat there. And it kind of felt like a lot of the things too, where it's just like, the puzzles were fine, but it really was just kind of push this block this way, this way, this way, this way, this way. Now it's there. Okay, cool. Or, the mini games, like the fishing, it was okay.
Yeah,
it was fine. Wheels, it was fine. But I've heard with that too. It's just like, just get the mage and you'll win. It's like, okay. So it's just kind of.
It's interesting because a lot of these things were like stretch goals. Like this was a Kickstarter game.
A good point.
Like the fishing was a stretch goal. So like it was never going to be in the base game unless they reached a certain amount of funding. So it is kind of half baked, I'd say.
Well, and that's a good point of context, though, because, again, I don't want people's takeaway to this discussion to be like, don't play this game. This game has an excellent core, an excellent set of bones. It's just maybe a little bit of the meat around it could have been a little bit better, but that makes sense. I mean, yeah, if you're just like wanting to put something in to make everybody feel good, be happy, yeah, you can fish, that's cool. Then you should approach it that way. You shouldn't think of it as a negative.
You're fine taking it to task. I mean, yes, it was a PlayStation Plus Extra and Game Pass game, but it is a $30 game. And even if it is on a service, scrutinize it all you want, man.
No, for sure. But yeah, I don't know if I have really much else to say. Characters there was some highs and lows. Garl, we've talked about him. He's great. I do kind of agree that the Solstice Warriors themselves could have been a little more fleshed out. Pretty vanilla, pretty shallow. But I think the overall narrative with the Fleshmancer and Rashawn kind of dynamic there and what they're doing with the overarching narrative was pretty cool. It's just like there was some, maybe, and maybe this is because takes place in the Messenger world. Maybe they have all these grand plans and it's all going to come together in some weird way eventually, or just like we're not going to touch on that right now because we want to flesh it out a little bit more. But needless to say, had a really good time playing it. Maybe one day I'll go back and get the platinum. I don't know if I just want that specific itch, but it's definitely a 4 out of 5 stars for me.
Oh, okay. All right. And do you think this is the leader of all the free games we've gotten, the day and date free games?
So we got Chia, Stray in this, and Humanity.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh,
yeah. I think so easily. Yeah. Okay. If you have extra, just at least check it out. Like I said, I mean, if you're a person that's never played a turn-based JRPG and you've started gaming in the last couple of years, just boot it up because you should see how these games used to operate and just how gorgeous it is. It's just so pretty. so pretty.
I know your thoughts on DLC in general.
Mm-hmm.
Would you come back to this game?
This is an easier to approach type of DLC situation, I think. Like, something like Cyberpunk, right? Had I played it 2 years ago, I don't think I'd touch Phantom Liberty. It's just too much. But I would imagine a DLC for this is going to add not too much more, maybe another area, maybe, I don't know if they would add a whole nother world to go to, maybe. But yeah, I think I would jump back in just to move around the world again and just be like, yeah, the music's so good and it looks so pretty, and I won't get sick of the battle system that quickly.
My guess is because this game is so island based, like you move from island to island and it has like pretty much 4 to 5 zones with a town, that it would be similar to that. It'd probably just add a new island that you go to, and
I will say, I appreciate, even though I didn't really do any of the end game stuff, one of the best uses of like free travel like ever in a game that I can recall, where it's just like, oh, I can just go whenever, wherever I want now.
Awesome. Is it considered spoilers though?
Oh, well, maybe. I don't know. I would imagine if you're listening to this where, there's some slight spoilers, but sorry.
I don't think it is.
I don't think it's a spoiler.
It's typical in these type of games for you to have a traversal ability.
Yeah, it's the Final Fantasy airship.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So, but it felt like it was just like, oh, they just like, yeah, just do what you want.
Yeah.
Sweet. Thank you. So yeah, Sea of Stars, happy to be done, happy to have played.
Yeah.
Will it be my game of the year? No, but it'll be probably in the conversation in like in the top 10 list. We'll see. Probably because I've only played 5 games this year. So,
well, I don't think it'll be your indie game of the year, and it won't be your game of the year. So,
No, but it's gonna get some shout outs.
Yeah,
it'll get
sure.
some awards.
Yeah. Don't we have that category? Who you want to drink with? Wouldn't Garl be a great person to drink with?
Yeah, Garl would be. Dude, Rashawn would be dope too.
Yeah, there you go. So the game will come back, and again, it does have DLC coming, and I'll be keeping an eye on that. So, all right, we can move on to the next thing, and that is a returning segment, the Character Battle Royale. I hope everyone enjoyed us defending the characters Titus, Zagreus, Pac-Man, and Cal Kestis. And before we get into the results of that, I was going to read some fan comments on this. So we got 3 fans have written in with their takes on what we said, or either complimenting it or saying we're dumb. But we got an email to PlayStation Pals Pod from Will, who says, first, despite Nick repeatedly calling Cal Kestis a Jedi Master when he hasn't been granted that title, true, I made a mistake.
Yep.
And this is the only time I'm going to break up these emails to defend myself. What John likes to do is we'll meet about the show. He'll tell me one thing, and then on the show, he'll tell me another thing. So he didn't mention there was going to be a time limit at all, as you heard. And he sprung that on me.
I honestly didn't think it through. It's not like it was like I'm going to get him.
And then I was going first. So I'm sorry. You're right. Correction. Cal Kestis was never a Jedi Master. The Jedis did not exist by the time he relearned the Force. So, all right. Anyway, I think I have to agree with him. Pac-Man is just a big, yellow, hungry, limbless bitch that has enough trouble with little bitch Ghost.
Yeah.
For the second, I don't know anything about Titus, but just look at those two. Actually, don't. They look exactly the same. But knowing Zagreus' fighting style and weapon selection, I have to go with John here, even if Zagreus is a little mama's boy. So we got to vote for each of us on that one.
Will, you're probably a little mama's boy too.
Hey, don't harass pals of the show.
I'm allowed to harass him. I've known him for too long.
All right, and then we got a Twitter DM from another pal of the show and producer of the show, Nick, but not me, other Nick, my alter ego. He says, based on the cases made, my votes are for Cal Kestis and Titus. I think if you would have played more into the ethereal ghost-eating part of Pac-Man, he would have had a better shot. And maybe having access to Ghost, he could have used the ghost of Cal's master against him or something. For Titus, using his ability to manipulate status and time, I think, is a great argument for taking away what makes Zagreus powerful, which is his speed and strength. Although his defeat would be temporary because he would just end up back in the underworld and climb out again. Great segment, guys. Looking forward to how this evolves. So,
love it.
There you go. That's 2 votes for me there.
I think there was some money passed under the table.
It's possible. And then finally, pal of the show, Jesse, messaged us on Twitter as well. I love Zagreus, but I can't deny that Nick's argument for Titus was very convincing. And then his comment on the other fight, Pac-Man would beat Cal Kestis for sure. No amount of force will save him from getting eaten alive. So there you go.
All right. So what's our votes at, Nick?
Oh wait, we have.
We got more.
Sorry, we have one. We have one more, and that's from Nemesis of the show, Jake, and he voted for Cal Kestis just straight up, and then he's also said, "I'm voting for Pac-Man. Here's why. I don't know how the hell you have Pac-Man in a lineup with everyone else, but I really want to hear John have to continually justify why he is better than all others."
Wait, you said he voted for Cal Kestis and Pac-Man.
I'm sorry. He voted for Zagreus. I'm sorry.
Okay.
And Pac-Man.
Gotcha.
So there you go. So
yeah, you would want me to have to keep defending him, and all right. Well, also just so you know, it could be Nick defending him next time.
That's true. We're not owning the fighters.
Yeah, we're not beholden
forward
to these.
Yeah, it could be either
only
or.
per round.
So after it's all said and done, Zagreus in fact did beat Titus. So John's boy from Hades, I'm sure he's very happy.
Beats my boy from 5 Fist 10.
Yeah. But we did have a tie. Cal Kestis and Pac-Man surprisingly tied. I think Pac-Man's going to be a sleeper.
Yeah.
I think the fact that he, nom-noms everyone to death will be a returning factor.
Yeah, he's the Kirby of the, retro world.
So we're going to flip a coin to see who wins between Cal Kestis and Pac-Man.
You want to call it?
Sure, I'll call heads, and that'll be Cal if it's heads.
Heads? All right.
Let's do it. It is spinning.
Heads.
All right, Cal Kestis goes on. Yeah. Yeah, he just goes away into oblivion. So there you go. Our last week's results.
That's probably the right choice.
Yeah, it's Cal Kestis and Zagreus. So they move on.
All right. Which leads us to the main event, Nick.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right, so we got this week, got another 2 matchups to go, right?
Yeah.
And we got Nathan Drake, Uncharted adventurer, very, very famous guy, against somebody probably more famous, and that's Bowser from the Mario franchise. And we got Geralt versus Pikachu. So 2 weird matchups, again, which is kind of the whole point of this whole thing. Do you remember? You went first last time, right?
Yeah.
All right, so you want me to go first this week?
Yeah, you can go first.
All right, we're doing Bowser versus Drake first.
All right.
I almost feel like it would take a lot of effort, but like to make this like a rap battle type thing would be sweet. But I'm not that good at that kind of stuff.
And that's already a thing on YouTube.
Right, exactly. Yeah, All right, so
All right.
I'm getting my timer because I got 1 minute on the clock. Okay, here we go. Gotta get myself ready. All right, Nick.
Okay.
Minute starts now. I'm going to start off with something I like to call the smell test, Nick. You know what I mean by the smell test? That's where you just look at a matchup and you know immediately who's going to win, right? We got Nathan Drake, human, versus a fire-breathing mega turtle, right? He has a natural shell to protect himself against really anything, because what does Drake do? He shoots bullets, right? He can just go into a shell, and he might get hit with a rocket launcher, but he's just going to bounce around. He'll be fine. And what are Bowser's weaknesses? Yeah, nothing. Peach. You got Peach.
Lava.
So, yeah, Peach and lava. So, 2 things that I'm not sure Drake's going to be able to really use in his favor. He's able to be bested by Mario because Mario's acrobatic and quick. That's not Drake. Drake is good at hanging onto ledges, and he's good at ducking behind cover. So, I don't know how those 2 skills would really, really be able to help him against Bowser. Bowser's been in 200 different Mario games. You can't keep him down. He's just going to come back, very much similarly to Zagreus. And he's got an army at his disposal, man. He can say, okay, Koopas, Goombas, go. Drake's going to have to focus on those guys. He's going to shoot him, and he's going to come in and stomp on him because Bowser's 10'2", and he weighs 1,600 pounds. So, again, the smell test. There's nothing you can do. He could just go, okay, I'm going to go into Fury Bowser mode too, which makes him ginormous.
Okay. All right. I didn't. You win some places I didn't think we were allowed to go.
In what way? I need to know so
companions.
that I don't. Oh yeah. Well, I mean, if Olimar was in here, he's got his little Pikmin to throw at people.
True, but that's kind of built into his stick.
That's fine. He doesn't need the companions. What did judges say? Overruled. You can overrule the companions.
All right. Are we ready to go?
Yeah. I'll go when you start talking.
All right, so we got Drake, and to your army argument, Drake's got Sully. Boom, done. Mustache power. We also have Nathan Drake's body count. How many people has he murdered? And you're going, well, Bowser isn't a human, but how many supernatural things has Drake beaten? He has beaten enemies like Descendants and Shambhala Guardians. He can take on any supernatural enemy. He is also a weapon master, pistols, sniper rifles, rocket launchers. And Drake is a survivalist. He has survived the most insane encounters and experiences all over the world in various locations. And at the very least, he can grapple that fucker. And Bowser cannot stand against the grapple hook. And then finally, Drake is a ladies' man. Princess Peach, she'd be all over Drake. He swoons all the ladies. So Bowser's jealousy would get in the way. He'd be distracted.
You'd turn him into Fury Bowser and you'd get smushed. Sorry.
No, he would be distracted, and he would just swoon just like he did. He'd ultimately break her heart, but that's what he does. So Drake would win that.
I just silenced it. It just rang. I don't know why I silenced it at the perfect time. So all right. Good job. That was kind of the one thing I was like, oh man, you could if you dressed up Elena as Peach. Oh, there it is for some reason. You dress her up
See this
as
cheating
Peach.
Here?
No, I swear it went off. I don't know what that was. You were done anyway. Shut up.
Yeah, I was done. That was good.
All right. That's round 1 in the books, Nick. I'll let you start off round 2.
Okay, so again, round 2 is Pikachu from the Pokemon series and Geralt of Rivia from the Witcher series. So again, Geralt is not Jon's character, but just like I had to do last week, it behooves Jon to defend characters he's not normally used to, because I might get his favorite character of all time. I might get 2B in this thing, and
Geralt's a G. Don't worry. I showed him respect.
All right, are we ready?
Ready.
Pikachu is world renowned. Speaking of how many opponents a character has beaten, he's beaten everything on the planet. He's beaten Mewtwo. He's beaten Team Rocket. He has a resume larger than any other character probably in this whole thing. And as far as Geralt's magic is concerned, well, he's fought against different types of Pokemon. So if Geralt's using Igni for fire or Ard for psychic, Pikachu's got that down pat. And also, Pikachu has the Smash Brothers credibility. Do you know what that brings him? He knows many opponents who use swords. Half of the roster of Smash Brothers uses swords. So even that advantage, Geralt does not have at all. And then finally, just his powerful attacks alone. Thunder, Iron Tail, Quick Attack. Geralt's going to be overwhelmed by all this. And how can he's not used to lightning coming from the sky to strike him down. So that's going to... Geralt's going to lose.
Okay.
Bottom line.
Good time. I just did the same thing. It just stopped and I did, okay.
All right.
I'll get my minute on the clock here. All right. This one's in the bag, Nick. What does it mean to be a Witcher? Well, a Witcher is someone who has trained mentally and physically for years, learned alchemy, learned monster hunting, and finally mutated through a series of inhumane experiences that made them powerful magic users and assassins. Geralt is the best of all these Witchers, right? Yeah, you mentioned he's not going to be able to use Igni on you, but you know what he is going to be able to use? Quen. That gives him a protective shield against everything for 30 seconds. So all he has to do is get close to Pikachu within those 30 seconds, and he'll be fine. Geralt's fought fiends, plague maidens, leshens, night wraiths, basilisks, things that are so much more terrifying than anything you're going to find in the Pokemon world. And I think any one of those things is going to have a fine time taking on a 2-pound little rat. Not to mention, Nick, do you know what type of Pokemon Pikachu is weak against? Ground Pokemon. As far as I checked, Geralt lives on the ground. He can wear some big, thick rubber boots, and lightning's not going to do really much to you. He'll be fine. Strengths of a Witcher, basically everything: superhuman strength, endurance, speed, vision, hearing, immunity to diseases, sword fighting skills, simple but versatile magic. He is made for this. He is ready to take on Pokemons of any shape or size. There it is.
All right.
There it is.
There you go. So
same thing as last week, guys. We need your votes. We need your input. Whether you want to email us at pspals. Nope, you do the thing.
PlayStationPalsPod@gmail.com.
Thank you. Or we'll put another Twitter poll out there.
Yep.
But we need everybody to make sure that they vote.
Yep.
All right, Nick, you ready to see what we're battling against next week?
Yeah.
This is my favorite part.
All right.
So, you want first or second?
I'll go first.
Okay. Randomize. Sam Fisher.
Oh, no.
Stealth expert Sam Fisher. I know shit. I don't know anything about him. All right.
Okay.
So you got Sam Fisher. And for me, for matchup 1, Lara Croft. That's a good matchup. All right. Sam Fisher versus Lara Croft. And for our second matchup,
I was really hoping we could get Solid Snake.
Yeah, Sam Fisher versus Solid Snake. Yeah, that's pretty good. I mean, Lara Croft versus Nathan Drake would have probably been the main one, but that's okay. And then for matchup 2, for Nick, we got Duke Nukem.
I don't remember who's in this list. So
no, I haven't shared this with you. You don't really know. Okay. So Duke Nukem.
Okay.
That's gonna be a fun one.
I'll have to explain who Duke Nukem is.
That's gonna be a fun one. Versus Kratos. Oh man,
okay.
I got
the
S tier Kratos.
So Sam Fisher versus Lara Croft and Duke Nukem versus Kratos. So
good. They're both susceptible to women.
That's true. Yeah. That's true. One of their main themes is sleeping with multiple women.
Lord.
So
all right, perfect.
Well, at least it's a weakness for them both. So you can't just bring women into the field; they'll both be distracted.
What is Duke? He always says something fucking stupid. Shake it, baby. God.
Everything he says is stupid.
It's the worst. Yeah, I think you can spend a good
and a bunch of movie quotes.
You can throw poop around in those games. Oh man, there's all sorts of cool stuff you can do.
Yeah, it really holds a candle to the God of War series.
I expect you to do some deep diving research so that we can. I want some deep.
He's got a hill to climb. Cuts. You know, this is the PlayStation Pals podcast, and a key PlayStation Pals character is here is the fight. So
Kratos. I mean, Kratos is the favorite, but between you and I hope he doesn't win. But we'll see.
Well, I think that's the goal of the person that's like Duke Nukem. You know, it's like every person who gets the character opposite has got the harder hill to climb. Yeah. But
can he take down Kratos?
Troll voting is here. It's not up to us. So
it's true. That is true.
People can vote Ed.
It's in everybody else's hands.
All
right. Shall we move?
Yes, we'll go on to the final topic, and we're gonna revisit platinum trophies for quite a few reasons. Firstly, pal of the show Jesse emailed in asking us about it, and I knew we had talked about platinum trophies before. But I knew it had been a while, and it is actually episode 10 was the last time we talked about it.
5 weeks ago.
Yeah, so we're due to talk about them again because it's been over a year, and new platinum trophies have entered our lives.
New listeners, new all that good stuff.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Do you remember how many platinum trophies you've earned this year alone?
Probably like one.
One?
I don't know. I mean,
you have Neon White. Did you?
I got Neon White and Cuphead earlier in the year.
Oh, okay. Well, those are two very strong platinums.
They are yes, I'm very proud of those.
Sorry, I put you on the spot.
Yeah, I might have to come back to you because there was a period of time where I had a problem and I was just going into extra and be like, oh, a minute? That takes 2 hours to platinum? Let me just do that for no reason. So I don't remember if that was this year or last year, but yeah, not many. Okay. I've been on a downturn.
Yeah, I had 6 this year, which is also down. But so that is one reason. 2, the latest Kyle Bosman talked about easy platinum games again, because they haven't gone away despite Sony saying otherwise. They're still out there. And these are games where you pay like $2 and you're basically getting a platinum in 10 minutes or less.
Yeah,
those are still around. And then finally, Insomniac teased 2 trophies for the upcoming Spider-Man 2, a game that John and I that'll be our next platinum for sure. Yeah. We will both have that platinum in that. So it's a good time to revisit this.
Also, update. I've gotten 8 platinums this year. So what do you know? I did get Minute and Stardust, Super Stardust Portable. Started off the year with Last of Us, so that was kind of
right
at the
God, this
beginning.
Feels like it's been so long.
I know.
But and also finally, nemesis of the show, Jake has tied John in the platinum trophy race.
Nobody knows who he is. Let's keep it that way.
But again, the leader currently is Jesse, who wrote in. He's at 53. So John is at 46. I'm at 32.
We'll be shipping you your crown here shortly.
Yeah. So he asked us some questions about our platinum trophy. So we're gonna revisit them. So John and I will go, and then we'll read some listener comments on it. So first question he asked is, John, what is your favorite platinum you've earned? And that might have changed hands since we last talked about.
Do you remember what I put last time? Might have been Rayman. I don't know. No. But so I wrote down in true John fashion. I can't just say one thing. So I have 3 honorable mentions that I just want to rattle off: Cuphead, Neon White, and Elden Ring. Those are my.
Oh yeah, Elden Ring was this year too.
Those are my 3 honorables. But if I had to pick one, I think it's just due to how fun it fucking was from top to bottom. It's got to be Hades. Like, Hades was just so fun to get. Like, it just kept me engaged the entire time. There's something inherent about a roguelike loop that's going to keep you wanting to come back more and more and more. But just, I don't have to explain why that game's great, but it just was a combination of all of these amazing things coming together. When, even the trophy list was amazing, and it was just 85 hours of really, really, really fun.
Yeah.
I'd probably go Hades.
Yeah. No, that is a very good answer, and I think that's where
Returnal.
No. Mine's obvious, because usually your favorite platinum is probably going to be a game that you love on top of that, and that'll come up again here as we talk later. But mine is Cyberpunk 2077. Yeah. And we know why.
How many hours did it take you again? So like 100
70s? No, I'm about to hit 100 hours with the expansion. I think I probably hit the platinum and somewhere in the 70s.
Okay, so that's not too bad.
Yeah.
I mean, for an open world game, not too bad.
Yeah, I think John and I just don't play platinums to get platinums. Usually there has to be an extra incentive that we really enjoy the game a lot to do whatever the grind is, the extra steps to get there. And I know some games make it a lot easier, like a lot of the Sony first party titles like God of War and Spider-Man. Like, it's not much of a stretch to get those, but some of these you really have to grind out, and Hades and Cyberpunk are definitely in that. And I don't think you would do that if you weren't in love with the game.
No, that's why. Truthfully, that's why I probably don't have the Sea of Stars platinum, because like if I liked it a little more, I probably would be a game that I would
right.
go. I just don't have the drive to.
Sure.
The moment to moment gameplay of Hades is perfect though. So yeah, of course.
So Nemesis of the show, Jake, also wrote in, and his is also Cyberpunk 2077. Good boy, Jake.
Well, you guys should get married and kiss.
The game is so big with so much to do, and the plat kind of forces you to do everything, including several different endings, which all hit in their own ways, which is very similar to Elden Ring. Elden Ring forced you to see every ending.
Did he say that? Because I know he didn't say that.
No, I'm saying I'm adding the Elden Ring part, but he added the.
He is not a FromSoft guy. We'll leave it at that.
And then Jesse wrote Ghost Recon Wildlands.
Wow.
He said, I played a co-op with a workmate, and it was really hard, but you have to be constantly communicating what you're going to do next and plan out missions, and it was really satisfying to execute them perfectly. That's a pretty good answer.
You do a grind with another person. It creates a very memorable experience. So, I mean, that's, if I liked Nick a little more, I might call him and be like, hey, let's play some co-op games and make some memories. But
we should have got the It Takes Two one for you at least.
I know. Well, Levi is really wanting to, like, he's been playing through that with his cousin. And so I've kind of been like, if you need a little hand, like, we can come in and do some stuff. But yeah, we should have got that one together for sure.
Okay. All right. So, and then the next question is, what's the rarest platinum you've earned? So what percentage is the lowest on the platinum trophies you've gotten so far?
Same answer as last time. Descenders, 0.1. Yeah.
I don't think any game will beat that percentage.
You can't, like, if you go into some of the third-party sites, like I think like PlayStationTrophies.org or there's a couple other ones. But they're all opt-in, so like it only gives you the percentage of the people who have opted in,
and they're usually trophy hunters.
Yeah, and so like Descenders on there is more like 2.8 or something like that. But it's got it. It has to be that one. So I hope I don't get one that's more rare than that.
Okay. Mine is also still Cyberpunk 2077. Again, that was a hyped release. A lot of people played it. But then it was broken on PS4, so a lot of people like bounced off of it. It is at 1.6% for me. So,
nice.
And again, a lot of the Sony. I looked through all my Sony first-party ones, and those are a lot of people platinum those games. Like,
they're usually 10%ish.
Yeah, Ragnarok
like 8 to 10.
was 12.
Yeah.
So
yeah, just look. I mean, I think Neon White had 1.5%. Cuphead was at like 2.6. Okay. And then Elden Ring is shockingly high. I think people who want, they're just all about it. So,
yeah. And then Jake answered with Rogue Legacy 2 at 0.6%. That's a good one.
Yeah, that is. I definitely applaud him for that one. That's a tough one because you got to like beat that game top to bottom in like 15 level or like runs or something, and there's probably some way to cheese it. I would imagine that I just haven't looked up. Maybe there is, maybe there isn't. But Jake often says that he's not good at video games. So, we'll see. He's out of his mouth.
And then Jesse mentioned he did Need for Speed Payback is at 0.4%. He says, I don't know why this is so rare, but it wasn't hard at all. Just lots of collectibles and time trials. So it's probably just one of those games that people just jumped in and bounced out,
Yeah, I wonder if it was ever extra or essential game.
Yeah, I bet you it was.
That always drops that stuff by crazy because, you'll get people just jumping in and out real quick. So.
All right. And then final question, what is the hardest platinum you've earned? This is definitely a better question for John. John goes for the harder ones.
Yeah, it's kind of I don't truly know, but my gut is telling me Neon White. I don't think any of the other platinum runs that I had are I can think back to doing the Hell run on Neon White, where you have to beat every single level in order without dying. And because that inherently takes about an hour to do.
Right.
There was about a 2-week period that I was exclusively trying to get that. And it was just the amount of runs that end at 45 minutes or that, where you start to question, is this really fucking worth it? And it was. But like when I think of Cuphead, it was like more just like, okay, I can get this. I just got to try again. Those are two minute snaps. And then Elden Ring is like, Millennia was a bitch, but like, again, I knew I could do it. I just had to sit down. Neon White was the one where I'm like, this fucking game, I swear to God. And
why do I do this to myself?
Why do I do this? But I just loved it. I loved the moment to moment so much. Similarly to Hades, that I was just like, I want to get this. I want to have that little shiny dumb thing. So.
Sure. And mine, I think I answered this last time too, was Returnal. I still love holding that trophy over John, that I have that one.
I want to go back and get it.
Again, Returnal is a roguelike, so what makes the platinum hard is some of the collectibles might not show up. So you kind of just got to keep playing it until you get the one room that has the one carving on the wall that you can get, and then you collected them all and you got it. And I think it helped that Returnal came out in like a very quiet, early PS5 game.
Yeah.
So I would just go home and just do a couple of runs, and if I got a couple more of the collectibles, that was a good time. And then I remember getting stuck on the last one, and I think it took me quite a few runs to get that last one because it was in the last area.
Yeah, it was just similarly to Neon White. It's just like, God, I wasted an hour and a half for nothing.
Yeah, exactly.
For nothing.
Yeah, I think if any other game had come out around that game, I probably wouldn't have done it. But
I will get that one day, Nick. I will.
I will get that platinum.
I want to get that platinum.
All right, so for Jake, he did have Dishonored 1 and 2 are difficult in the sense you both require multiple playthroughs, and one of those includes not being spotted at all or killing anyone the entire playthrough. Fuck that.
Yeah, lame.
Dismantle was the most difficult to mentally achieve. The grind was unreal and mind-numbing. I needed a guide for most of it. The fast travel is not really existent, and the maps are not well designed. The combat is... Why are you doing
Sounds
this?
great, Jake.
And then he also had Rogue Legacy 2 of actual difficulty.
Well, and in fairness, my other answer for hardest is usually Rayman Legends, which is kind of more dumb than Dismantle even is, where I had to play it for 6 straight months just for 5 minutes a day to rank up some stupid thing. But again, I just love that game so much that I don't really care.
Right.
And we had the white whale question, right?
Well, we got Jesse's answer too.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I just want to make sure you weren't going to forget that one.
No, it was Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy for him.
Oh, you did that?
Yeah, the hardest thing
I've heard 4 is worse, but still.
The hardest thing there is the time trials
trials
because they require perfect accuracy and timing with your jumps and spins, especially in the first game. Yeah, fuck that.
Yeah, I've heard Crash 4 specifically is just like it melts your face difficult, like with a lot of the stuff, and I imagine those first ones are the same, where you have these like bridge levels where you just have to hop perfectly across these dumb little planks. And I once upon a time I would try to get those, when I love nostalgia to the max is Crash and Spyro, and I got the first one for Spyro, but I don't need this in my life anymore. But good for you, Jesse. Those are no joke.
Yeah. So
do you get? Is there only one platinum for all 3 of those, or is there?
I think so. If it's one package.
Yeah.
I'd have to look it up.
Extra hardcore.
I'm assuming it is just one platinum, but yep. And then finally, Nemesis of the show, Jake. He followed up with a question to both of us, and he said, "What is your white whale platinums? The ones you are chasing, but won't get either to a steep difficulty curve, or shut down servers, making it unattainable." His answers are Stardew Valley. I poured countless hours across many farms to plat. I'd basically have to do a completionist playthrough, which is over 100 hours easily. Beat the most difficult and annoying minigame twice, once without dying at all, and another playthrough where I sell my soul to the big baddie of the game. Okay. Wow. And then I think the other answer, which is Sackboy: The Big Adventure. a big adventure, because I think it's like the what you said about Neon White. It's you got one run that's got to be perfect.
Well, there's specific time trial levels throughout the game where they kind of focus on a specific movement mechanic, I believe, and those are usually I don't know, 30 to 45 seconds. There's like 15 of them, and then at the end of the game, you have to do all of them in order.
Yeah.
Without dying. And it's just, and that's so like besides Returnal, that's another platinum I would love to lord that over his head so much. Oh my God, but like it's gotten to the point where I'd have to reinstall it, learn the movements again to even get to that level, and at that point I got better things to do with my time.
Sure. So now throwing it back at you, John, do you have any white whales?
I do. Trying to change up my answer from last time, which it was previously The Binding of Isaac, my most played game probably of all time, except maybe Rocket League's past it now. But it's got trophies where you have to beat it with 9 different characters, like 10 different times. It's just like one of those where you have to just play it and play like kind of like beat 'em ups. Yeah. And I've kind of lost the urge to do that. So I don't think I'll ever go back and get that one. Final Fantasy X, I would love to have, but I'm not grinding. But I think that maybe the true answer, especially because it is unobtainable just on a pure difficulty level, is Hollow Knight. Like I would love to have the Hollow Knight Platinum, but there's something called the Pantheon of somethings or gods or something that you have to play at the end of that game where you do like all 45 bosses in order, and it's just like what? Yeah. Like, and there's also some crazy platforming challenges you got to do, and it just is one of those. Nas. I'm not doing it. I'm not gonna subject myself to it and hate this game that I love. So I'll just wait till Silksong comes out and play that if it ever comes out.
Think about platinuming it.
Yeah, until they say that you have to do that again. But yeah. So Hollow Knight would be really, really, really cool, but I doubt I'll ever get it.
Yeah. Mine is the same as some of my favorite games of all time. I just wish I had platinums. Red Dead Redemption 2, and I don't know why I don't have it. I think there's a lot of specific things you do, a lot more hours and time I'd have to put into it.
You got to like hunt every animal, all that stuff.
And there's the online stuff, and then The Witcher 3 requires you to beat the game on the hardest difficulty, which I'm just not going to do. Yeah. I'm just not going to subject myself to that, even though that game has constantly been updated.
It probably looks great. I mean,
yeah. But like you said, you don't want to hate these games, and sometimes you just got to walk away. Like I think when I approach a platinum trophy, time is a big part of that. Like how much time would it take, and will I enjoy my time doing that? Yeah. And in Cyberpunk's case, the answer was yes. I want to do all the things. I want to clear out the whole fucking map and have everything done. Do all the gigs, all the police things, and get there.
And it's such an immense satisfaction too when you do get it and you can put it down knowing that there's no thing in the back of your head going like, well, you didn't do that. You didn't get that. You should go back to it. Like, it's so nice.
Yeah, our compulsion. Mm-hmm. So there you have it. That is our TED Talk on platinum trophies. We still love them, and I thought we were down this year, but I mean, if you have 8, you're still cruising.
Yeah. I mean, I haven't gotten, my last one was Cuphead though. Like, so that's Elden Ring. I'm sorry, I got Elden Ring, Cuphead, and Neon White are my last 3 platinums. So maybe it just kind of got to a point I'm like, whoa. But
we'll both have Spider-Man.
Spider-Man will be guaranteed. Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll both have that, and then we'll see. There's a bunch of other games that might sneak up. Yeah. Cool. All right, so that's 4 things. We did it, John.
Sure did. For the 65th time.
Yeah. And do you have any teases for next week now that you're free of one game into another?
Yeah, no, I would love to get to a point where I can talk more about Cyberpunk. However, like we don't want to flood you guys with Cyberpunk talk. So
hey, it's hot right now, and I'll hear it.
It is, but I won't be talking about Phantom Liberty.
So, that's fine. I want to.
So yeah, I'll probably have some discussion around that. No, maybe I'll look for like a smaller game that I can also kind of fill my time with when, like Cult of the Lamb's been one that I've been kind of thinking about, and some other smaller games that maybe could fill up some time between now and Spider-Man, because that's kind of the other thing is I'm feeling this like stopgap, like that's 3 weeks from now where I could be like halfway through Cyberpunk and really into it, and then I go yoink and I start playing Spider-Man. So, I just need to. I don't know. Probably just not worry about shit like that and just go have fun playing video games. But I don't know. I also downloaded Alan Wake Remaster. I don't think I'll play it, but it's like I was just feeling October-y, feeling horror-y, and with the second one coming out. But
yeah, and speaking of the October-y and horror-y stuff, it was announced that the Callisto Protocol is coming to PlayStation Plus Essentials. By the time you're listening to this, you can download it. Any interest, John? I think we should both play it.
Yeah, I should probably download it and check it out and play at least like 2 levels or so. If it would probably be a thing where it's like, all right, I'm gonna give this a good try. If the combat and shit is really because that's what everybody says, right? The combat's weirdly bad, where you're just kind of dodging and it's mostly melee. And as we just kind of discussed with Sea of Stars, the main thing that carries me through an enjoyable experience is having a fun gameplay system. So I don't expect to really probably get into it, but because it's what, a 67 on OpenCritic, and it just kind of was the game that everybody wished for a little bit more from, but it's worth a download. Yeah, I'll check it out.
So I just went to
Super
how
quick
long
too.
to beat though,
It's
and
like 8 hours.
Yeah, 15 hours for the plat, 10 hours for the story. So
Okay.
So not bad.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's for you, that's a weekend. For me, that's a month.
So I want to check it out. I'm curious, again, John and I are big Dead Space fans, and this was, made by the former director of Dead Space and this now.
Yeah, I was saying now the former director of Striking Distance.
Glenn Schofield. So, and again, it fits that vibe. And if I can get this in and Alan Wake 2, those are so 2 good horror games for October to play. I'm also, it's in my brain. I don't know if I'll act on it, but Alien Isolation is a blank spot. And I love Alien.
Yeah.
It's one of the, when people say, what is your favorite horror game? This game comes up, so it'd be interesting to go and check that out.
That's kind of one of those backlogs that won't go away type of games for me too. And I've heard, like, I've played some of it. I played, I don't know, probably 4 or 5 hours, and it was cool. I've heard it's way too long. Like it's like 25 to 30 hours to get through it, and it's a stealth game. So like you're kind of just like, oh my god, like this is getting a little much. But to this day, probably some of the best AI work that's kind of been done to a main enemy like that, and yeah, the environments are great. So yeah, and let me know if you download that. I'd be, well, I'm not gonna play it. Who am I kidding? Big eyes. Small stomach.
But yeah, I do have some other things on my plate too, as well as including finishing Phantom Liberty, finishing Baldur's Gate 3. So, I can talk all I want.
Playing Spider-Man.
Yeah, and playing Spider-Man, which, yeah.
It'll be 5 months or 5 games in October, dude.
So, I'll talk a big game, but I think, at October 20th, it's a full stop, Yeah. So it's going to be interesting. And yeah, I think that's it. And by next podcast, more PlayStation Plus extra games will be announced, but
yeah, I'm always down.
So who knows? There might be even more games for us to play. So
boo-hoo. Oh, boo-hoo.
Just got to find the time to play them.
Poor me.
All right. So, John, what song are we leaving them on?
We are journeying to, I don't know what the land is called, but Shadow of the Colossus land. Revived Power is the name of the track. It's what I remember hearing when you finally climb onto the flying Colossi. I should know, phalanx, maybe? Something like that. But you grab on and it's like music picks up and it's like, oh, you fly through the air and you don't think you're going to hold on, but you do, and it's super, super epic. And yeah, it's kind of probably not a song that you're going to listen to on a whim, but like it's still pretty cool, so I want everybody to hear it. Yeah,
no, it is a very good song, and it just kind of reinforces the scale and the moment. Like I think, Rockstar is pretty good about this, about playing a song at the right moment in the story to like really like amp it up. And this is one of those things, like, or when I was talking about Persona 5, like Rivers in the Desert. That song plays.
Now that's a song you listen to. I listen to that all the time still.
That just plays in a boss fight, and it just changes everything. It just increases the scale of what just the encounter itself, which is already on a game like Shadow of the Colossus. Scale is everything. So
music's a powerful thing, man.
Yeah.
And speaking of games I would like to go back and get a platinum for, Shadow of the Colossus would be a cool one. Unfortunately, I think you have to time trial all the Colossi, and that doesn't sound fun. But no. I don't know. Probably with a walkthrough, it's not bad. But.
All right, so that's it. We did it. 4 things. We will be back.
We'll be back.
We will be back. I can't talk anymore. I'm sorry. So we'll be back next week with up to 6 things. Enjoy getting those.
He's having a stroke, everybody. Yeah.
Enjoy getting those platinum trophies. We hope you earn some by the time you listen to our next show, or listen to our podcast while you're earning platinum trophies.
Just not Jake.
Oh,
no Jake.
Sorry, John, you're going down.
I know.
All right. Thanks for listening. Goodbye.
See you guys.